Alright, this here is my home studio. This box actually used to hold a 12-inch Lanzar Pro competition sub. It's gigantic. It used to be ported and I basically scrapped it once the subwoofer did its job. And anyway, turned it into this where it holds all my analog equipment. Here's I got a Rain graphic EQ, 2-channel, 14-band. Great analog equipment here. Rain is a amazing brand. Got a Composer Pro compressor. Got that very inexpensive. It's a Behringer. Yes, it's bottom of the line in most people's eyes, but you know what? For like $10, it does the job. I was gonna get a DBX, but $10 I wasn't passing that up. Deltron Audio Masters. They're the Swift patches, and they're the cartridge style. You can flip out super easy, normaled and denormaled. And got some patches going on here. This Gemini is basically the heart of the entire audio operation. It's an awesome fader system. I have two mixing boards plugged into it so I can have the audio come out and listen through the stereo, and also listen through the monitor speakers. Record player, it's 8 channels, and then I got my Denon and the Harman Kardon cassette decks going through. Of course, the PreSonus is going through, and it's got a dB meter on there, which is kind of cool. A Furman power conditioner. Everything that's electrical, you plug it into there. And this one's cool. It's got the lights on it, so if it's dark, you can illuminate. I've got an audio dB display. It's nice to have it. It's more eye candy than anything, but it's good to see if you're hot and clipping. And then I got my PreSonus 2 preamp here, and ordering some vintage tubes from the 60s. Put in there and try them out. Also have a EQ3B. These are all PreSonus models. Great parametric EQ. If you don't have one of these and you want a parametric EQ for not a lot of money, highly recommend them. Highly recommend this unit. It's amazing. It's super easy to use too, and it's compact. Again, USB audio box, PreSonus, where all of the computer signals come, audio comes from, and it's simple, where you can basically plug everything from the patch bay. And once you are done plugging everything in, you literally just plug one and boop, plug it in, and you're good. It's a 2 I/O. That's all you need basically if you have this type of system, because if you have multiple mics going on, you can use the 2 I/O, plug into the patch bay, and you have all these channels basically to use. If you need more connections, you can literally just plug them in manually. You got your outs, you got some sends over there, all going in the patch bay. And then left, right, directly in. If you're recording a few guitars, live sound or something, you're going to get a left-right stereo mix. You can do it that way. There's a lot of configurations where you can do different things. You don't need a Scarlett 8 or anything like that. If you don't have a lot of money, do a 2 I/O. Set it up like this. Buy an inexpensive mixing board. This mixing board was very inexpensive. $25 or $30 I picked this one up for. It works perfect too. You got some EQ controls on there. But just this is just a basic hybrid studio. Some might laugh, some might go, wow, that's pretty cool. It works great for me. I was on a shoestring budget with this entire build, so that's what I'm using. I got the Studio Pro 3s, nothing major from M Audio, good enough to mix with. A Z Direct from ART, love that products. ART products are great. Another tube pre from PreSonus, and I got the tube preamp, also from ART. It's the laptop I use. It's super powerful. It's great. Running Studio One Artist from PreSonus. I dropped Pro Tools altogether. I used to run Pro Tools 8 for a long time. Never liked it. Even went to school for it. Never liked it. PreSonus is way more intuitive, way easier. If you're on the fence of what to get Studio One. I think it's going to be the next big dog in the professional recording world, and I know a lot of people are already using it. I'm using Addictive Drums. Love Addictive Drums. I actually use the Addictive Drums. I send a MIDI signal to the USB box via the digital drum set. This was all put together. I bought this brain separately, Roland TD7. It's got right there, MIDI in and outs. Plug all your pads in. All these pads were used. I don't care. They work perfectly. You got your 3 cymbals, hi-hat, ride, crash. And you got your snare. 1, 2, 3, 4 tom. My bass drum is missing right now, and that's in the practice room. But anyways, super inexpensive way to do it. Pick this whole thing up, all the pads, the rack, like I think $35 or $40. The brain I got on eBay, 20 bucks. I mean, people spend thousands of dollars on these sets. Why? You don't need the sounds out of that. You just need the MIDI. Plug them all in to that. Run a MIDI cord out. Throw it right into USB. Get Addictive Drums. Also, there's other ones that are way cheaper. This was like $150. I have some upgraded ones also. I got a metal version, metal pack. They're really good. They sound awesome. When you're composing music, that's all you need. I have 2 drum sets, acoustic sets, but I don't mic them up. There's no need to. When you're just composing and you're basically having music that you just want to put out there on YouTube, put out there on Reverb Nation, stuff like that, let me tell you, don't waste your money on all those mics. Get something like this, 150 bucks. You're going to spend $150 on one bass mic alone easily. A bunch of FM57s, you're looking at $300, $400, $500, $600 easily to mic up the whole drum set. You're going to get your XYs or AB mics, you're looking at another 200 bucks. Why bother? I understand people want to have a great professional sound. You can get it out of this. You can mix it just right and everything sounds great. This is how I do it. Everybody's got their own ways of doing things. Anyway, I started off, once I dumped Pro Tools, I went to this, Korg 3200. It's a digital recording studio workstation. This thing is 80 gig hard drive inside of it. It's basically a mixing board on steroids. It has tons of effects, works amazing. This is a little pricey. I traded a bunch of cymbals and drum equipment for it, and you know what? It's plugged into the patch bay. It has all your ins and outs. You can literally record 12 tracks at once. This thing is a mega station. I love it. You can have eight going at. I believe you can only have eight inputs at once, and it's got 32 channels. I compose a lot of stuff on this. I take this around with me sometimes to record the bands I'm in. It's totally awesome to have something like this. Not everybody wants one. The downfall, again, here's the screen. It's tiny. You can't basically plug in and have a monitor on this. There's an upgrade where you can do it, but it's a little expensive to do, and some company in England does that. But I know one guy who actually has an entire studio revolved around this one piece of equipment. Again, super awesome to have. Highly recommend something like that if you are on a low budget. You like hard drive type. It's got the CD player there. It's a little weird to get used to at first, but you know what? It's got tons and tons and tons of features. I run a lot of the digital effects when I'm singing, vocals, drums. It's got a killer powerhouse full of effects on it. Let alone the sound is super clean and pure. There's no noise level at all. When you plug in, you're getting direct sound. There's no hiss, no hum, no nothing. It's perfect unit to use. Then I got, turntable, just basic Kenwood, Denon double cassette deck, and a Harman Kardon single. Clean the heads and the pinch rollers and all the mechanical stuff. These are great to have in the studio. Great audio. If you want analog sound, you can literally go from PreSonus into this, almost like reamping things, into this, have the analog sound come out, and the analog outs are all right here. Literally just analog out, boom, plug it right back in, and you're reamping literally. There's ways to do stuff that a lot of people don't know, don't understand. And let me tell you, there's awesome ways to achieve great sounds. Hybrid studios are cool. I'm enjoying it. I love analog. I grew up in the cassette world. And when CDs came out, I was still buying cassettes. And I bought tons and tons and tons of them because I love the way they sound. If you know how to use a cassette player, it basically tells you, hey, you got a Dolby B on it, set it to Dolby B. These are recorded in a way that a lot of people don't understand them. They're not old technology. That sucks. I think, this is my opinion, of course, and cassettes are really great. They're a great format. People are ingenious thinking of that magnetic tape. I mean, come on. That's a brilliant technology. So, I don't know. That's a lot of the studio stuff, and everything works great. This was just, I'm testing all this stuff out today, making sure it works, and everything looks good, and everything works great here. So I also have a second monitor. Here, let me pull it up. It's great. You can split the screens when you're mixing. There's a really cool way to do it if you only have one output screen. There's a way you can literally split the screen in two. There's a tutorial online that you can do it, and I think the guy's using Cubase. He shows you how to do it. It's really cool. I do it a lot, and it really helps when you have your mix window and your edit window in two separate locations. And these are 32-inch LG TV screens mounted on the walls. So this is my studio, and I really enjoy working in here. It's all decked out, and it's killer. As you can see, totally in the metal. All those up there on the top, all autographed by all the band members in each band. A lot of bands. I've met a lot of people along the way. Some guitars. The Schecter, the red Schecter is my latest. I bought that for $60. It's basically brand new. Some older woman bought it and said it was way too heavy. She bought it online. She never wanted to return it, so I picked it up for a song. And, another LTD bass. This one up here is tuned standard. That one down there is tuned to B flat. And just some of the stuff on the walls. And that's about it. I mean, this is where people hang out and listen to some awesome music and work somewhat. And I'm not sitting here mixing songs to a perfect, balanced room or anything like that. I'm mixing stuff where it's listenable. It sounds pretty good. In school, they used to call me the master fader because I used to be able to throw a mix together in super fast times. So, just totally works for me. I do want to set up a studio where everything is balanced acoustically, get way better speakers, some of the Rocket 8s or something like that. But anyways, this is it. So that's the end of the tour, and that's my home studio. I know some of you wanted to see it, so there it is. And just one last thing, having one of these DJ mixing boards is probably the best thing you can ever buy for having multiple cassette decks, record player, computer, all these different sounds going through it, is basically having a master control. Some people do use a mixing board. I was never a fan of that. I always felt that this was made for it. Why not just use it? And buying patch bay, don't buy one patch bay, buy two. These things fill up very fast. People don't realize how quick those fill up. You know, and if you have two, you have tons of options. I have the Gemini going through 1 through 8. You're literally eating up 8 of these channels already just by this one unit. You know, and then you have some outputs coming from out of that. Then you have basically, I only have 4 out of the 12 channels for this. And then I have 2 more outputs and 2 more sends. You know, you're looking at another 8. You're at 16 at that point. So take my advice. If you can buy 2, buy 2. And everything here is used secondhand in great shape. I did buy this new. It's more of eye candy than anything, and I probably already said that it's good to have it as a visual reference to see how hot you are. You know, when you're throwing a mix together, you're listening to music. It's great. It's an easy, quick visual, and a lot of people like them. I'm going to be putting together some VU meters, some analog VU meters together, and let's see how that comes out. Just, you know, more of a reference point. I'm more into the older style of recording. And I always loved the VU meters. I love meters that move around and stuff. You know, I always thought that was the coolest part about listening to music, is seeing things in action. But all right, this is probably long enough, and everybody's going, oh geez, I already clicked off like, you know, 2-minute mark because I have no attention span. But this is it. Anyways, signing out here. One last quick look. Actually, and never pointed out, I have a second computer under there too, and that computer is like backup files and photos. It's basically a great way to save all of the PreSonus work, dump it on the second hard drive down there just in case this crashes. You got the backup. I'm getting a 3 terabyte storage units, storage card soon, so I don't have to worry about keep dumping it down there. But it's always good to have a second backup because things happen. I've worked in studios before. Things happen. They will crash. You least expect it. All right.